Good morning, everybody. It is about 10:30 now on our Friday, and just like yesterday, we have a chance for some strong storms. Now, here's the thing about yesterday. Number one, we had lower confidence in that potential because we were kind of waiting to see how things were going to develop as they went through the afternoon. The potential existed, but we never ended up having any storms fire up across the area. Most of us ended up actually having a really nice evening across East Tennessee. So even though the forecast was a little bit of a bust, I'd say it still came out on the better side of things, right? Well, looking ahead to this afternoon, we actually can already see the storms that are going to be in our area later today developing back off to the west. So that increases confidence, number one. And number two, the environment is going to be more unstable today than it was yesterday because even though we had showers and storms this morning, they're already gone. So we're not going to have that extra factor that was kind of part of the equation yesterday, helping to limit things. So let's kind of walk you through what we're expecting as we go through the day today. We'll take a look at the close-up, we'll take a look at the big picture, and then we'll kind of do a quick recap for everybody who's joining us right now. So first, I want to start off with a look at our Gatlinburg camera because we are seeing some of the cloud cover from our Gatlinburg camera in the mountains right now. This screen's maybe a little bright, so I'll go ahead and take this like this for you so you can see it right there. So from our Gatlinburg camera, you can see some of the low dark clouds off in the distance. In fact, it looks like the cloud cover is sitting on top of Mount LeConte right now. But I also want you to take note of all of the beautiful green colors. It's so lush because all of the rain that we've had over the past week or so, which did end up helping us finish the month of April with a surplus for the month, which is the first time in several months that we've actually ended up with a surplus, and that's good news for the drought conditions that we've had at times across East Tennessee. Now for the day today, we are going to have that chance for strong storms. Now the potential impacts from this are going to run between 3 and 11 p.m. I'm going to get more specific with this, so just hold your horses here. 3 to 11 p.m. today. Power outages and downed trees will be a concern because damaging winds are our number one concern with the weather that we're going to be seeing today across the area. Localized flooding will be a concern, especially in those low-lying and poor drainage areas if the showers and storms move over the same areas repeatedly or take a long time to move through. Quarter size or larger hail is going to be a possibility as well. That's actually kind of just behind wind as far as our concern for the day today. And while there could be some rotation with some of the storms, overall, the threat for tornadoes is very low and mainly for areas along and west of I-75. But again, the setup today isn't going to be favorable for that, so our main concern is damaging winds. I don't want you to let your guard down, though, just because I said wind and likely not tornadoes. Damaging winds can do just as much trouble or create just as much damage, I should say, as a tornado can. So it's important to still take those severe thunderstorm warnings seriously, and the setup that we have today may allow some of those storms to actually produce wind gusts of 60 to 70 miles per hour, which is a low-end tornado. So whether it's coming straight at you or it's rotating, doesn't really matter. The wind can do some damage with these storms today. So make sure you pay attention and have a way to receive the weather alerts and notifications. And just check back for updates, just like yesterday. As we were going through the afternoon, we realized that the storms were not materializing. And we were able to update the forecast as we went through the afternoon. But I know some folks were like, well, where is it? Check back for the updates because we may have to adjust this forecast today up or possibly down, depending on how things kind of evolve over the next several hours. And here's one of the factors that's going to come into play for that. This is a look at our downtown camera. And what you are seeing is cloud cover, but also notice the blue that we have kind of up near the banner area and up on top right there. We're getting enough of that solar insulation that temperatures are starting to warm up. We're at 67 degrees right now in Knoxville. It's very, very muggy outside. Winds are out of the southwest. They're very light. That muggy factor is going to slow down the warming, but because of that sun that we're seeing, we're still expecting highs today getting into upper 70s and low 80s. So that's going to help to add some of that energy and that instability into the atmosphere for later today. So we had the morning round. Now we've got a bit of a break. And then as we go into the afternoon, our next concern is going to be the potential for strong storms. And again, the timing on that is between 3 and 11 p.m., so from the afternoon and through the evening hours. The main impacts will come from the potential of the damaging wind and possibly the large hail. So what do you need to do? You need to stay alert, check back for updates, and make sure you have a way to receive the weather alerts and notifications. And if you're going to be at home, maybe now, today, is a good time to review your safety plan as far as if a warning is issued, where would you go in your home? The answer is the lowest level, away from doors and windows. You want to put as many walls between you and the exterior, the wind, as you possibly can. In these thunderstorms, if you have very large hail, that's going to be falling from the sky at around 80 to 100 miles per hour. So if you have a baseball hitting the side of your house that fast, and it hits a window, it's going to come through the window. So that's why we want to get you away from the windows and the doors. And as far as if you do end up in a damaging wind event and it's blowing debris around, that can also come through your exterior walls. So that's the goal, between putting more walls between yourself and the wind as you possibly can. So now let's dive into the forecast a little bit more, what's going on currently, and taking a little bit of a broader look back off to the west. So as far as today, we're already watching that line of storms developing back near the Memphis area. That is going to be the cluster that we're watching for the potential of moving into our area. So we had our showers and storms this morning that are now moving out. In between, we have, we'll call it thin cloud cover. So it's thin enough to where you can start to see some of the warming of the sun, but it's not completely sunny and clear at this point. And then here's our line right here. This is going to be moving to the east. And a lot of models are not really showing line number 1 and line number 2 super well. So this is why I say, when I say check back for updates, because the models have to see what's going on first before they can kind of see how the evolution is going to happen or predict what the evolution is going to be with all the other factors in play. And they update hourly, so that's why we see some changes as we go throughout the afternoon. So this is going to be our first line. That's going to be slowly working its way across the state as we go throughout the day today. And that's eventually going to reach East Tennessee as we go through the afternoon. But with the daytime heating, all that muggy moisture I was just talking about, we could already start to see some pop-up showers and storms separate from that line by about 3 to 4 p.m. The Storm Prediction Center has our entire area highlighted. So for anybody who's home that's watching and going, I wonder about my backyard. Yes, you are included in the risk for the day today. Everybody is included. And yesterday we had a level 1 and a level 2 risk. Today is a level 2 in the areas shaded in yellow and a level 3 out of 5 for the areas that you see shaded in brown here. We don't get a ton of those brown colors, that level 3, maybe a couple times a year. So we need to take this very seriously. As far as folks that are kind of close to this line right here, the weather's not going to follow that line. So I would err on the side of being more prepared than less based on the color that you're under on this map. Again, for everybody, there's a chance of the damaging winds and the larger hail. The areas shaded in dark brown just have the slightly better chances than the areas that are shaded in yellow. And this map is going to update again at 12:30. So if you want to tune in on WBIR, either on the stream or on TV or on our website, we're going to show you if this map updates or not as we go throughout our noon newscast. Here's what the futurecast looks like as of right now. And again, this is just one run of one model, so this is going to change a couple times as we go through the day. There are the showers and storms starting to develop with the daytime heating by about 3 to 4 p.m. Here comes the first edge of the line. Maybe that first line fizzles out a little bit, getting into the plateau counties by around, I'd say 6 to 7 p.m., and then moving across the valley 7 to 8 p.m. This could be a solid line. It could look very different than what we've got going on this particular model. It's the idea of it. I'm trying to give you the timing of it, not necessarily precise things. So don't get lost in going, well, wait a minute, it's here, but then it's here. Yeah, that's going to change a lot as we go through the day today. So the showers and storm, timing-wise in general, start to pop up around 3 to 4 p.m., get into the plateau around 5 to 6, around, let's say, 6 to 8 p.m., 7 to 8 p.m. or so in the valley. And then after about 7 to 8 p.m., we'll see that moving over to the east into our eastern counties tonight. As far as the severe weather threat, that's not going to be an all-night thing. That's going to ramp down after about 10 to 11 p.m. tonight. But we could still continue to see scattered showers and maybe even a few rumbles of thunder overnight and then into the day Saturday. You might start off the day dry, but at some point we're going to have the showers and even some thunderstorms rotating through this area, and this is what things could look like as we go through our Saturday afternoon and evening. Again, the timing is likely going to shift. What this futurecast looks like is likely going to shift going into the day Saturday. But for tomorrow, we are also highlighted under a risk from the Storm Prediction Center, a level 1 risk for our area, all shaded in green. So that would be for the potential of some damaging winds. Again, that's all going to depend on how the day goes for Saturday. Then into the day Sunday. So let's pick it up Saturday afternoon into Sunday. Did you notice that counterclockwise swirl right there? That's an area of low pressure that is cut off from the jet stream, meaning it can go wherever it wants. It doesn't have the wind of the jet stream to move it on along. That makes it very difficult for computer models to grasp where it's going to end up going because it can just meander. And a difference in its position by just 50 to 100 miles changes the forecast for certain locations. Example for us. So here's the center of the low in this run of this model. It's in western Kentucky. If that goes west, we see more sunshine and we stay mostly dry. If that shifts east, now we're under the cloud cover and have the better chance for showers. Either way, it looks like as of right now, in the morning, we'll likely start off with some fog and low cloud cover on Sunday. then see some sunshine, and then it's going to be dependent on where that low goes as to how quickly the clouds build in and any light showers. Right now it looks like the best chances for that are going to be on the more on the western side of things. But like I said, it's all going to depend on where that low goes, how long it swirls around our region, and if it sticks around into Monday, we might have to add some rain chances into the day on Monday. So that's just kind of a little bit of an overview and a little bit of an inside look into where we're confident and where we have more of the uncertainties and the factors that cause those uncertainties when it comes to our forecast. So speaking of that, to summarize what we're going to be seeing as we go through the weekend, we expect to have highs in the low 70s, upper 60s and low 70s. The last several days we've been in the upper 70s and the low 80s, so it will be about 10 degrees cooler because of that low pressure system pushing that cooler air down. Also have the elevated chances of showers and some storms. It's not going to be an all-day washout, but at times it is going to be a washout. So you'll want to keep an eye on that radar if you have outdoor plans. Into Sunday, yet again a little bit cooler than we will be on Saturday. We'll start off cooler in the morning too. Again, Sunday's all going to depend on the position of that low, so cooler temperatures and the possibility of some spotty showers. Some areas, especially on the eastern side of things, may actually end up staying mostly dry for the day on Sunday. So now let's talk about some of the things that could be impacted by this forecast for the rest of the day today. How about the Smokies, right? WBIR is the official weather of the Smokies. Yesterday at this time, I was going, oh my gosh, watch out if you're heading out to the games. And guess what? It ended up being a beautiful afternoon. Unfortunately, the Smokies did not get the win last night. So they're hoping to come on back tonight against the Rocket City Trash Pandas. First pitch is going to be at 7 p.m. this evening. And if you remember the timing of those showers and storms, that's right about the time that main line is going to start to move into the area. As that happens, that may cause some delays with what we could be seeing as far as the game. So check back for updates to that as we go throughout the evening. And keep an eye on their Twitter account, I believe. That's probably the best way to find out whether they're canceled or not. Now, they are planning for this game to happen tonight. They're already out there. They had the tarp on the field overnight last night and into this morning because of the rain overnight and to start off the day today. They've uncovered it to let it dry out. They've been working on the grass, working on the clay out there. Trust me when I say they're going to want to do everything they can to get that game in tonight. So we'll be rooting for them as well as we go throughout the evening. Now, let's talk a little bit about something else looking farther ahead here. The jet stream pattern. I was talking about that cutoff low and how it's not attached to the jet stream. So to remind everyone, kind of an overview, the jet stream is a fast-moving column of air that kind of helps move the systems across the country. When you've got this dip like this, you can see the cooler colors coming down with it as well. That's a trough of low pressure. When you get those big ridges coming up from the south and the oranges and the yellows, those are ridges of high pressure. So here goes the trough swinging on through as there's the low pressure system. Notice how there's a couple of them right here. We got one back to the west, a ridge in between, another trough over here. That starts to imply that we could have a blocking pattern, meaning that we're kind of pumping the brakes on how progressive things are going to go. And there it goes. We have a ridge of high pressure over here to the east, and that's kind of acting as a blocking pattern, and it's not letting these two low pressure systems move across the country. So naturally what happens is the low cuts off. And that's what's going to happen over the Ohio Valley through the weekend. It's going to meander around, and eventually into early next week at some point, it's going to get caught back up in the jet stream and get pulled off to the northeast. Whenever that happens, a brief little ridge is going to build in, probably around the Tuesday time frame, it looks like right now, at least according to this model, and then we'll be watching the secondary system as it tries to work its way across the country. If it gets here quicker, we see rain chances sooner. If it slows down, we see our rain chances lag a little bit further. As of right now, we've added rain chances onto that 7-day forecast beginning on Wednesday. But again, it's all going to depend on how progressive that pattern gets, and this is kind of a more messy pattern, which again makes it harder for those computer models to get a good grasp of what we can expect. Now, looking ahead for the next 6 to 10 days, now I've given you kind of the overview of what the pattern is looking like. Here's how that matches up as far as temperatures go. From the Climate Prediction Center from May 7th to the 11th, so next week, there is a kind of a confidence in having above average temperatures. Our average highs are in the mid 70s at this point, so we would be around that or probably a little bit warmer. But again, notice the lighter shade. That means they're kind of like, we're leaning in that direction, but we're not very sure about it. Precipitation-wise, if we see the more active pattern, that would give us better chances of rain, which would possibly give us above average precipitation. Again, lighter shades of color, they're kind of like, not all the way in on this one. So again, that's because of the uncertainties that come with a pattern like the one that we've been seeing. And here's how this shapes up specifically with your 7-day forecast. So I've been talking about all this. The weather impact alert is for this afternoon into this evening from about 3 to 11 p.m. That's the plan right now. Just like yesterday, that could change. The storms could get here sooner. They could take longer. They can weaken. They can strengthen. So check back for updates. That's why the right-hand side of your Friday panel is red, because half of the day is expected to be a weather impact alert day. In case you haven't heard of this franchise, by the way, a weather impact alert day is because we expect impactful weather, and we want to alert you to know that it's happening. So that's what's going on there. Notice the temperature drop. Low 80s today, 70s as we go into the weekend and into next week. So cooler air moves into the region. In fact, on Monday and Tuesday morning, we could be talking lows in the 40s across a good portion of our area. There's the elevated rain chances on Saturday. Again, not a complete washout, but periods of heavy rain may be possible and or some thunderstorms as well. Sunday will depend on the low. Eastern areas have a better chance of staying dry. Western areas have a better chance of seeing the cloud cover and the rain chances as of now. Hopefully we'll get to dry out on Monday and Tuesday, and then watch the pattern to see how things evolve as we go into Wednesday and Thursday. So again, let me just give you a quick little overview here of what we've got going on across the area. We do have that level 2 and level 3 risk for seeing those strong to severe storms out of 5 levels. Notice the banner up here. That means that if a storm develops in this environment, it is likely that it's going to reach severe limits, which is 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail for the areas shaded in brown, and there's an elevated risk of that happening for the areas shaded in yellow. Again, everybody has a chance of seeing damaging winds today, so everybody needs to be prepared. Whether your neighbor has a higher chance or not, everyone needs to be ready. And that's why we do have that weather impact alert through the day today from 3 to 11 p.m. Again, just make sure that you have a way to receive the weather alerts and notifications. Damaging winds are our main concern, followed by large hail. Can't rule out an isolated tornado, but again, the chances are low of that. And be prepared to move indoors. If you're going to be outdoors this evening, you need to know that there's a sturdy building nearby, so if a warning is issued, you can head into a safe place to wait until that storm passes. Now, throughout all of this, we are going to be keeping you up to date on the very latest at WBIR, whether that's on Facebook, on X, on WBIR.com, on TV, on WBIR Plus, whatever way, it's there on your phone, on your TV, we've got you online, whatever you need. We will be reaching out to put that information out there. However, communication is a two-way street. So check back for the updates. Go looking for the information to see. We'll be on air again coming up at noon with another update. Remember that map update's at 12:30. And then we'll be here for you through the afternoon tracking those storms as they move through East Tennessee. So check back for updates and have a great rest of your Friday, everyone.